I don't know what it is about the drivers here, but I have to be like Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious just to stay alive. I don't know, it's the craziest drivers I've ever experienced in my life.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I'm tired of being disrespected. So there was no question I was gonna play this year.
We are now the Las Vegas Raiders.
It's game week here on Vegas Nation Blitz. Welcome in, everyone. I'm your host, Cassie Soto. We are just days away from the Las Vegas Raiders kicking off their inaugural season. So joining me, as always, is Las Vegas Review-Journal Raiders beat writer Vinny Bonsignore. Vinny, let's go ahead and start with Marcus Mariota, because news has come out that the backup QB is on the injured reserve list. We know that he missed some time this training camp. What the heck is going on there?
Yeah, and there was definitely some signals leaning toward that in that direction. He hasn't been healthy all camp. You could tell. It explains a lot on some of the throws that he was making during training camp, where you're just kind of scratching your head, going, "That doesn't look good. The ball's not coming out right. It's not accurate. He's throwing balls into the dirt." So now we know that there was a pectoral injury. It sounds like. The good news is, with the rules the way they are now with the injured reserve list due to COVID-19, you have an unlimited amount of times to be able to put guys on injured reserve and still be able to bring them back within 3 weeks. And I've been told the expectation that he'll be back in a few weeks, healthy, hopefully, for Marcus, and then can get on track to being what the Raiders wanted him to be.
The Raiders have restructured the contract of linebacker Corey Littleton. Can you give us the details there, and how does this maybe clear up some much-needed cap space for the Raiders?
Well, first thing first, as a result of the restructuring of the contract, the Raiders now have about $9 million under the cap, 9.1-ish under the cap. They were really up against it, and they needed to create some flexibility, mostly for in worst case scenario basis. So that was number one. Basically what they did was they took a large chunk of his salary in 2020 and converted it to a reconstructive bonus. So it's $10 million that would have counted toward the salary cap that now gets applied as a bonus that gets paid out over the course of time. So he gets his money. There's no question about that. The Raiders get some much needed salary cap relief. Now, I know there's been a lot of speculation. Well, is this a prelude to a big move? I would say no right now. But you know what? This team is always continually looking to try to get better. If there's somebody out there that they feel is going to be able to step in and help them, at least puts them in position to be able to strike in case that happens.
Well, final one for you here, Vinny. You recently wrote an article that fans can always check out, of course, at vegasnation.com, titled "John Gruden has the Raiders in the right direction." Can you just give us sort of a recap of what you feel John Gruden has done these last 3 years to put the Raiders in a good position now, just days away from the 2020 season?
Well, first and foremost, I think he kind of defied an old scouting report on him, which indicated that he was really impatient. He was going to bring in a whole bunch of veteran players, disregard any kind of youth movement, and replenish his roster with veteran players that were going to win right now. He's rejected any of that urge, and I give Mark Davis a lot of credit to the owner. And the leadership in place, they realize, look, we've been doing it wrong the last 15, 20 years or so. We keep putting Band-Aids on gushing wounds, and it might, create some temporary relief, but ultimately we're not addressing what the wound is. We're not doing this right. They gave John Gruden a 10-year contract, and they said, look, you have the runway necessary to get this right, to take the time that's needed to rebuild this in a way that's going to put us in position to have long-range success, not just short-term success. And I give John Gruden a lot of credit for sticking to that game plan, believing in the process, he along with Mike Mayock. And as a result, you look at this roster right now, I think the average age is just over 24 years old, which is really young. They've got talent across the board, offensively and defensively, and players that don't cost a whole lot of money, that are still on rookie contracts. They've had, I counted it in their two deep this year, that when they just released their depth chart. In their two deep depth chart, there's 32 players that are going into either their first or second year player. I count Darren Waller in there. Yeah, he got signed late in the or brought up late in the 2018 season, but essentially he's going into his second full season. 32 players of your two deep are going into either their first or second years with the Raiders. That's an overhaul. That's why I think John Gruden and Mike Mayock have this organization headed in the right direction.
All right, well, we will see what happens come this Sunday, Vinny. 10 a.m. kickoff versus the Panthers. You ready?
I am ready. This is a game that I think the Raiders are just a better team than the Panthers. They should win this handily.
All right, Vinny, we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for the updates as always.
All right, Cassie, have a good day.
In other NFL news, the New York Giants waived cornerback DeAndre Baker, who is facing 4 armed robbery counts in Florida. Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott said some of his teammates will kneel during the national anthem on Sunday nights, and the Arizona Cardinals signed receiver DeAndre Hopkins to a new 5-year contract. Hopkins was traded to Arizona from the Houston Texans this offseason.
Well, let's see what the Raiders were up to this last week on social media with Las Vegas Review-Journal sports journalist Leandre Fox. Dre, it is officially game week. How pumped are the Raiders?
Cassie, they are so pumped that they posted a video just recapping all of training camp. Obviously, the fans weren't allowed to see any of that this year, so they posted this nice recap video. And in the video, they also had a nice shot of Allegiant Stadium lighting up next to the Las Vegas Strip, really kind of cementing its spot in Las Vegas. Also, Vegas Nation fans will like this. We get a quick voiceover from one Adam Hill in the video as well.
Can't get enough of Adam Hill, Dre. We love that guy. Well, ahead of kickoff, it looks like Raiders running back Jalen Richard is giving fans a view into what his preparations were like heading into this season.
Yeah, Jalen Richard now has a YouTube channel. It kind of looked like when he was advertising it, kind of like a Twitch channel, might have been like a gaming channel, but it's really more of an insight channel into his past and into his preparation getting to the NFL, and now obviously while he's in the NFL. So in his first video, he posted about just really his love for football and where it grew when he was in his hometown back in Louisiana. And then you get to see a little bit of his training regimen with his trainer. And also, you get to see him getting a tattoo of one of his football memories. His father texted him a picture of him running the hills back in Louisiana. He said, "This is reminding you of when you were a dog." And he got that tattooed on him as really just a special tattoo.
The last one for you, Dre. Can you please tell us who welcomed the newest Raider to the Raider Nation?
At 8 pounds, 3 ounces, Raider Nation, please welcome Amari Key to your family. Arden Key had his second son just this afternoon on Monday. And in other Raiders toddler news, Keyshawn Nixon's son King celebrated his first birthday.
Well, definitely a very happy birthday to those baby Raiders. Dre, thank you so much.
Thanks, Cass.
We are going to take a quick break right now, but when we return, I will be joined by Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist Ed Graney, and we will break down the Raiders' 53-man roster. Stay with us.
Which Raider scored 2 touchdowns in the 2019 season opener? Was it A, Josh Jacobs, B, Jalen Richard, C, Darren Waller, or D, Tyrell Williams? Get ready for every Raiders game with us. Vegas Nation Game Day will give you everything you need to know about each week's matchup.
I'm excited.
Vegas Nation Game Day coming to you on Sunday, September 13th at 9 a.m. for the Raiders season opener versus the Panthers.
All your listeners and followers, the best name of any podcast in the world is podcast.
It doesn't make good television if they walk in the door and be like, no.
We believe we can make absinthe work.
Whoa, I didn't order that.
Did you just say that?
Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, he's a quarterback in the Boston area.
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Vegas Nation Blitz. Can you believe that the Raiders are just days away from kicking off their inaugural season right here in Las Vegas? Well, to go ahead and talk about the Raiders, let's bring in Las Vegas Review-Journal sports columnist Ed Graney. Ed, how you doing?
How are you, Cassie? How you been?
I am great. I am excited. I'm ready to go.
Well, I'll be on a plane tomorrow and heading toward Carolina, so ready to go as well.
Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it, Ed. The 2020 season definitely felt like it was real once the Raiders went ahead and cut down to their 53-man roster. And I just want to get your opinion here because head coach John Gruden has been previously criticized that he has had a little bit of an older roster. Well, this year, if I counted correctly, he's got 32 guys on his team that all have 5 years or less of NFL experience. So what's your take here on this young roster? How do you see things going this season?
Yeah, I mean, up to this season, I was starting at linebacker. There was a little age to the Raiders, but no, they're young this year. I mean, 3 starters will be rookies on Sunday. 7 will be second-year guys, and I think you're right. It's in the low 30s that are actually second year or younger. So it's exciting. I mean, when you get a team like this with a lot of young guys, they can make mistakes, but I think for fans, it's really exciting because you can kind of start growing with players as they start their careers. So John Gruden's going youth, and they're young, but I think he has a lot of trust in these guys.
Well, in cutting down the roster, I think one of the biggest decisions that was made that took everybody by surprise was the trade of rookie running back Lynn Bowden Jr. to Miami in exchange for a 4th-round pick. Raiders GM Mike Mayock calls this a completely football decision, but I have to get your opinion here. Are you buying that it was all football?
Well, it was a miss. You can't trade your 3rd-round pick before there's a game. They missed on the pick. I don't know. That's what Mike Mayock says. Even if it wasn't, that's what Mike Mayock was going to say. I don't think they're going to throw the kid under the bus if there was off-field issues. It was a big transition to running back. And I'll say this, and I wrote this, no matter what happened, if you don't think he's a fit, whether on or off the field, it's good to get him, move him on now. And you get some value back in a 4th-round pick. You don't hold on to what you perceive was a mistake. They blew the pick, and in that sense, you can say it was a mistake, but at least you don't hold on to a guy and hope he becomes who you think he was. So they have to take criticism for missing on the pick, but I think to move on and to trade him at this point, if they don't think he's a guy, is probably the right decision.
Well, moving on to the guys that are on the team now, Ed, the Raiders revealed their team captains, and I think the captain that stands out to me the most is Raiders safety Eric Harris. This is a guy that came from the Canadian Football League. He did not have an easy road to the NFL. What about Harris makes him a good leader for this team, and so much so that they made him a team captain? Well,
you said it. He came from the CFL. You know, he had to work for everything he got. Eric Harris, since he's been here, there's guys always trying to take this guy's job, and they never do. They gave Demarius Randall 1.5 guaranteed, which is not a ton against the cap, but it is saying we think you're going to make the team. We think you probably will start a free safety. Eric Harris beat him out. Eric Harris is good on special teams. He said, Mike Mayock said he's the best communicator on the defense. He gets people in the right positions. You got to give Eric Harris credit. Eric Harris is a great example for young players who maybe are not draft picks and want to make it, but have to work hard. They can look to a guy like Eric Harris and say it's possible if I work hard enough.
Well, final question for you here, Ed, because it is game week. So what are you telling fans to look out for as the Raiders head onto the road to take on Carolina?
Well, look, you know the books like the Raiders because they're on the East as a favorite. That never happens, and they're laying 3 points. That tells me one of 2 things. They're not enamored with Carolina, or they maybe think the Raiders are a little bit better than projections. Look, the Raiders, on paper, are a better team. Derek Carr, a revamped defense, should be enough to go in there and get a win. On the Carolina side, Teddy Bridgewater, he's the new starter, as a backup in New Orleans, brand new coaching staff for the Panthers, head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. So other than Christian McCaffrey, who's terrific, I don't know if the Raiders don't match up at most positions. I expect them to go in there and win the game.
All right, Ed. Well, thank you so much for this. But we will be seeing you on Sunday in Carolina because we will be debuting our first ever episode of Vegas Nation Game Day coming every Sunday at 9 a.m. How excited are you for that, to give the fans really a different look, a different perspective on game days?
Anytime I can say, thanks, Cassie, and throw it back to you, Cassie, back to you, it's a good day. So, no, it's great for the fans. It's great for the Review Journal and for Vegas Nation, and to give fans an up-close and personal look. And we have the gamut. We have previews, drinks, partying, tailgating, and all the news you're going to need to know about that game.
We can't wait for Sundays, Ed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cassie.
Once again, that was Las Vegas Review Journal sports columnist Ed Graney. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Vegas Nation's own Heidi Fang and Adam Hill will tell us what Week 1 matchups they're looking out for. We'll be right back. The answer is A, Josh Jacobs. In his first regular season NFL game, Jacobs scored on a 2-yard run and on a 4-yard run as the Raiders beat the Denver Broncos 24-16.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Vegas Nation Blitz. It's your Vegas Nation podcast host here, Heidi Fang, and I'm joined with our NFL writer, Adam Hill. We're going to talk about week 1 and what matchups we're looking forward to most, and we're going to get it started with in the AFC West first, because that's the division we're most focused here with as far as the Raiders are concerned. So Adam, what matchup are you looking forward to most here in the AFC West for week 1, getting things started here?
So I think it's easy to say it's the Chiefs and Texans. I mean, that's one of the marquee games of the week, Thursday Night Football. Everybody's focused on it. But I think we know what we're getting with the Chiefs, right? Like, everybody knows what to expect, the high-powered offense, the improved defense. Like, we know where they are. So that's going to be one of the games for sure. But I'm going to go with Chargers-Bengals here just for the unknowns. It's the Chargers without Phillip Rivers. They're moving on to a new quarterback. It's Tyrod Taylor now, probably until they're out of the race, if that happens. And then Justin Herbert takes over. And on the other side, Joe Burrow, his debut in the NFL, a lot of unknowns there. How ready is he going to be from day one after an offseason with no OTAs or minicamp? So I'm going with Chargers-Bengals. I think there's a lot of intrigue here. Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram against Joe Burrow. That's fascinating to me.
Those defensive ends sure can come after the quarterback, so Joe Burrow's going to want to stay very alert as he drops back in that pocket. Adam, what else are you looking forward to here in week 1 of the NFL season?
All right, so this one is even easier to me. This is Saints-Buccaneers. That's the game there's going to be so much attention on this week. For Raiders fans, first of all, they've got those two teams coming up in the next couple of weeks, so certainly a lot to watch in terms of scouting if you're a fan, if you want to see what the Raiders have on the horizon. But it's Tom Brady's first game with all these weapons that he has in Tampa Bay. First game outside of New England. A lot of intrigue there, of course. And then the Saints, always a contender. We'll see what Drew Brees and company have left. And a big divisional battle. A lot of people talking about the Bucs. I think the Saints are a little annoyed by that. They are the team to beat in that division. So right off the bat, we're going to see a showdown between the Saints and the Bucs.
Great stuff, Adam. That'll do it for our analysis here of week 1. And now stay tuned as we take a look back at the top 3 seasons the Raiders had with the best records in their history as a franchise. As the Raiders 2020 season gets started, they're going to want to make it to the playoffs. So let's take a look back at some of the teams that did.
Football season is just around the corner, and the 2020 Raiders' goal will be to make the playoffs and win. So let's take a look back at their top 3 winning seasons for the franchise. The 1967 Oakland Raiders did well in their second season, playing home games at the Oakland Alameda Coliseum in their second year playing under head coach John Rauch. The team produced a 13-1 season record, which at the time was an AFL record, and it kicked off a winning era for the Raiders as well. The star of the season was quarterback Darryl LaMonica, who had been traded to the Raiders that year. The Raiders won their first championship as a franchise in the AFL title game, defeating the Oilers 40-7. The team made it to Super Bowl II, but would lose to the Green Bay Packers 33-14. The 1967 team produced a total of 5 Hall of Fame players: Jim Otto, George Blanda, Fred Blitnikoff, Gene Upshaw, and Willie Brown. Another Hall of Famer in the team's midst was their then linebackers coach, John Madden. Madden was the head coach when the 1976 Raiders went 13-1 and won their first Super Bowl. Overall, the team held a record of 16-1. At Super Bowl 11, the Raiders defeated the Minnesota Vikings 32-14. In 1982, the Raiders again held a stellar season record of 8-1 despite the season being shortened due to a strike. Tom Flores, who had formerly played quarterback for the team before being traded for LaMonica, led the Raiders all the way to the AFC divisional playoffs, where they would lose to the Jets. And that'll do it for this week in Raiders history. We'll be back next week.
Get ready for every Raiders game with us. Vegas Nation Game Day will give you everything you need to know about each week's matchup.
I'm excited.
Vegas Nation Game Day coming to you on Sunday, September 13th at 9 a.m. for the Raiders season opener versus the Panthers.
All your listeners and followers, the best name of any podcast in the world is podcast.
It doesn't make good television if they walk in the door and be like, no.
We believe we can make absinthe work.
Whoa, I didn't order that.
Did you just, yeah, did you just say that?
Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, he's a quarterback in the Boston area.
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Welcome back to Vegas Nation Blitz. As we wrap up this week's episode, let's go ahead and bring in Allegiant Stadium insider Mick Akers. Mick, when fans are finally allowed to be let inside of Allegiant Stadium, they will be able to experience all the sights and sounds of a football game. But for those fans who maybe experience a sort of sensory overload, there'll be a nice quiet space for them. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the Raiders are brought in 2 sensory booths. They're going to be in the north end of the stadium in the Ford area, where fans with sensory issues, autism and such, that being around a large crowd with all the excitement might get to them a little bit, kind of overload them. They can go there and have a little quiet time. They have special lighting in there, special sensory. The carpet has lighting in it, all kinds of stuff. That's proven to help calm some of the nerves down when some of these people with sensory issues have a little too much excitement going on. So obviously, a lot of fans, have families and they have family members with such issues. So, I think it's kind of the way the NFL and other sports venues are going these days. A few people have added them over the last few years. So, it looks like NFL is looking, to look out for some of the families that attend games, that, had issues before. So obviously it's a move in the right direction.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome of Allegiant Stadium to think about those people and to be able to include them in the whole experience of Allegiant Stadium. Well, speaking of inside the stadium, Mick, we are also learning that Allegiant Stadium will be the first cashless sports venue to be cashless upon its opening. What do we know about that, and how was that decision made?
Yeah, so obviously, cash is king in Vegas, with the gambling aspect and all that. But, so a lot of people are surprised when this came about. There's going to be the first one to open cashless. So any kind of contactless payment, obviously credit cards as well, Google and Apple Pay and all that. And if you do have cash and you show up and you don't have a credit card at the stadium, they're going to have some kiosks where you can, insert your money and you can get a prepaid debit card. It's going to have a Visa logo on it, so you can use it inside the stadium and outside when you leave. So if you don't spend all the money you put on it inside the stadium, you can, say, hey, you're at the grocery store or something, you can use it there as well, so you don't have some money lingering left over on that. Obviously, with the COVID-19 stuff going on, a lot of businesses have been asking people to use cashless transactions, some even not even taking cash, change shortage and all that kind of thing. But, going forward, obviously, some of the COVID-19 regulations are going to ease up a little bit, but, it just looks like that's the way we're going as a society anyways, kind of pushing towards the cashless transaction. So, kind of getting a little, a step ahead of, what's to come, I think, as far as, payment plans go and all that.
Well, it'll still be a while before the fans have to worry about that. But Mick, thank you for the updates as always.
Hey, thanks a lot, Cassie.
That will do it for this week's episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. But like we said earlier, it's game week, so we will have plenty of Raiders updates coming for you, including our first ever episode of Vegas Nation Game Day this Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on Cox Your View. Channel 14 will bring you up-to-the-minute Raiders updates as the Raiders prepare for their first ever Las Vegas Raiders kickoff versus the Panthers at 10 a.m. So be sure to stick with us. Vegas Nation Game Day once again on Cox Your View Channel 14 this Sunday at 9 a.m. For our Vegas Nation crew, I'm Cassie Soto. We'll see you on Sunday.